What do you guys want to just go right into Diablo?
Yeah, might as well.
Cool. Let me transition over. Alrighty, so I don't know who wants to go. I'm very curious about. I think Gamer. He's the one that this was his big game for the year, other than what, Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
I didn't even check. What's the Metacritic on this? 25. Have we paid attention?
Oh, I haven't updated the Metacritic on it.
I think it. I don't remember. I think I updated it on the thing, unless I was wrong.
I'll check while you guys are chatting.
Do me a favor, Gamer. Yeah. Hit your volume up one more beat on your end. Just like a
hip 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 hooray.
Maybe one more.
Hip hooray. Hip hip hooray.
Okay, try that. We'll try that. Just leave it right there. Yeah.
So Metacritic score, so you had an 86 for the PC version. User score is 5.1. I haven't been paying attention about any backlash.
Ooh, that's not good.
What is if I'm assuming it's got to be, because I haven't even noticed any like microtransaction stuff other than like the horses.
I think the only thing that I've been reading about is that the developers keep nerfing characters.
Nerfing characters already?
They keep like, I guess they're doing like adjustments, and whenever there's an update, there's always an adjustment to one of the classes or a bunch of the classes, and they're taking away things, and it's like, oh, what are you guys doing? And I think there's a big backlash on that right now.
That might part of. I'm trying to scan through quickly some of these user reviews. They're kind of all over the place. Like, I think different people just don't like some of the directions some of the gameplay mechanics went. And I mean, I can talk more about it too. There are some things I'm not a huge fan of. I don't know if I would have like blasted the game like some of these guys did with 0s and 1s and 2s, but it just seems like people didn't get the game they were expecting. But I don't know. I mean, the general Metacritic score, I think a lot of them were, for better or for worse. And in many ways, there's a lot of similarity between 3 and 4. There's changes, of course, too, but either way, I mean, the overall Metacritic score, at least critically, is 86, so it's sitting pretty solid, but users are dipping. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, anyway, Gamer, what's your kind of take on it, since I know this was kind of your one of your big games for the year, and you probably spent the most time on it than definitely I have. I don't know about Chaz.
Well, actually, me and him, I think we mentioned we're both at like the same exact level. I mean, maybe he's done more exploring. I mean, I haven't done too much.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a little bit in the first, like, when the pre-order opened up. So, the early access. So I got to like level 25, I think, and it's not much apparently. So I think my wife's like level 30 right now.
Well, you can get to 100, can't you? Isn't that like the max?
I think so. And yeah, she's playing it right now actually. And so far, I mean, there are a lot of major differences between this one. I mean, if you've already played the beta, you kind of get the gist of it. They didn't really change much from the beta, except for like access to like certain areas where now you can hit like, I don't know, one of the strongholds that are like level like, I don't know, I think 50 or some crap like that. The tree is definitely something you have to like really feel out. I don't know how many times I had to respec my guy in order to get something that works, because I got my ass handed to me consistently.
Yeah, that's one thing. I only played a little bit, but you almost have to really look at the whole tree before you go any direction. And it's hard because like you don't have a good feel for what some of the abilities are going to be early on, and they don't all play exactly the same way as they did in 3. So knowing which direction to take your character is odd, and 3 went like super flexible. Like they made updates after a certain point we could change your skill tree, at the drop of a hat. This game really, I don't want to say punishes you, but really wants to kind of lock you in. I mean, to like a role play, which makes sense, but they want to kind of lock you into this is how this character is going to play, and changing that is kind of rough. I think it's hard for like, especially a first run, because I don't know, you don't feel like you get the character maybe you wanted out of it, at least from a skills standpoint.
I haven't. I could say that, I mean, early on, 25, it's like, I don't know. Like I tried using. I'm rogue, by the way. So
I was just
I'm
gonna
running
say,
as a
well,
rogue.
what's your classes? Yeah.
Sorcerer.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna do sorcerer, and I decided to do something different this time. Usually, I'm always some sort of wizard. Like the last one, I was wizard, and I freaking went to town on that one. It was super
I
fun.
went full on goth. I'm necromancer.
Mm.
Yeah, my wife's from Necro too. Necro. Ah. Anyway,
You get all Borderlands.
I thought
Yeah,
about
really.
druid, and I was just like, eh.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll play it if I feel like it, but right now it's just kind of like it's not hitting the same way as I was hoping, and I didn't have any expectations for it to be like Diablo 3 because I wanted it to be a new game, obviously. Story's cool enough so far. I think I still need to play some more.
Can I make an
But,
admission?
I got.
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah, what's up?
I was gonna say, when it comes to Diablo games, I'll be honest, I don't pay a lick of attention to the story. Like I don't even know what's going on in this game. Like I just like to run around and mash all the abilities. I don't know. That's just me.
Oh,
I feel like this game's trying to take a larger attempt at having a stronger narrative. Like 3 had one, but it was pretty light too. Like it was serviceable enough. There wasn't anything crazy going on, so you could just kind of blindly kind of play through the game and not think about it. 2 had to think a little more as far as like the lore was considered, but I feel like this time they're really trying to double down on some of the narrative stuff. More cinematics, a lot more like discussions with side characters. Like there's a lot more content there from a narrative standpoint, which is good if you want to dig into it. I, at least early on, found it to be almost a little much. Like I was kind of getting tired of hearing everybody talk about certain things, so I just want to get into the game. But
Yeah.
I guess maybe you guys aren't the right. We're not all too terribly deep into the game, but I'll be honest. So far, I don't really feel the progression tree really. I mean, at least I don't feel it mattering all that much whenever I make a choice. Like, I'll make a choice and I expect something crazy, and it's like, oh, rather than 1 spear, now you get 2 spears. I don't know. Maybe I just have weird expectations.
well, one
I mean,
thing about this game,
you could just respect at any time.
Yeah.
It's like
I think
okay,
one thing about the game though,
looks.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead. You were saying about the respecking.
Oh no, I was just saying you just respect and just try different things. That's all you can really do.
Yeah. I think one thing I've noticed, and as I'm not real far into it, maybe it will change, but I don't feel like my character really gets stronger. I think because the way this game works, all
there's,
the
like-
enemies level with you.
Yeah,
because I mean,
yeah.
it's an open world. They've changed the way it's structured, so like you can't get to a point where you were just like overpowered, which I mean is probably nice from a balancing standpoint, but I don't know about you guys, but one thing I loved about Diablo 3 especially is you kind of get that power
You get the
fantasy, right?
laser.
Like you get to a certain point,
Oh yeah.
You guys,
and you're just demolishing stuff. And you could always choose to ramp it up if you wanted to, go to whatever, nightmare, whatever mode after that point. But you could, if you wanted to, just be all powerful and just blast everything in your way. I don't know if this game's ever going to let you do that, just because of the way everybody ranks up alongside of you. And I don't know if I like that feel. I mean, it's a very different feel.
Well, that has to be my guess as to why that is because they've added they've made it more multiplayer centric. So I'm assuming with these raids and these big public events, it is unfair if someone rolls in and can just demolish the event immediately, and everyone else is like, you know what I mean? I guess it has to be.
Yeah, no. I'm sure it's a balancing issue. They wanted it to, so you couldn't, steamroll brand new content or whatever it may be. Not that it should really matter for this game as much. I haven't got to. Is there PvP in this game or anything? I think most of it's PvE stuff, right? And the multiplayer stuff is cooperative more than anything else. So I don't really feel like being overpowered should be too much of an issue. Like, I guess it could ruin somebody's fun if you randomly hop into, an open raid or something, but I don't know. I like power fantasies in most games. That's why I play a lot of games. There are games, certainly, I want a consistent challenge all the way through, but I'm used to Diablo just being that game where I can just max out my skills, get all the crazy powers,
You just
and
want to
just
melt
obliterate
stuff.
everything in my way.
Yeah.
At least at a certain point. And I said, I'm really early. I don't even know what level I am. I doubt I'm anywhere close to even you guys. So maybe as you get to a certain point, you unlock that perfect combo of skills where you get that feeling back. I'm just not sure yet, and that's a little bit of a put off for me, at least right now.
I just thought about it, but not to totally drive us off track. But I just thought about the user score aspect. We were just talking about how that's considerably lower than the critic. Mm-hmm. That could be because I think one of the main talking points around this game right now is the fact that I think some people who are playing the hardcore mode, they're having their like characters get wiped out, like without them.
Oh, you get permakilled.
Without them like actually playing. I've heard like some things about people being in loading screens, and I don't know too much about the specifics. So, but maybe you know what I mean. All those people all those people putting those scores. All those people putting those scores may not be going through that, but they read the headlines. You know what I mean? People are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I seriously doubt all those people are having that same issue, but.
I mean, I'd be pretty pissed off too if my freaking character perma-killed and I didn't even play yet, or I didn't play at all that day or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you put hours into this thing.
So I have a question for you guys. How do you like the art style change opposed from 3? Because 3 was very super saturated, not quite cartoony, but brighter, more colorful, elaborate in a lot of ways. And this is very dark in tone, more muted, more somber. Like, do you like the shift in art directions? I know that was what people were wanting.
I like where it's at. I think it's a pretty game. I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, Metal? I didn't play a ton of 3, so I guess I'm not maybe the best one.
I like the 3 style a lot more. I think I like the brighterness to it, but it's almost like the contrast of like Mortal Kombat 9 to Mortal Kombat 10. You know, like
that's a good.
You play 9. Yeah, you play 9 and it's really bright, very gory, super bloody, and it's like, you know, in your face. And then you play 10, it's not even close to that. Yeah. And it's like, what happened? Why is it so dark? Like, why do I have to bring my brightness so high in order to see anything? It's like, it's okay, but I really enjoyed the last one. And
that's where I'm with you.
I don't know.
I get why they did. I mean, I think the art direction meets the tone that they're going for better, and part of the narrative they want it to be a little more serious, a little more darker. And I know people wanted that gore. I mean, you are, fighting the, armies of hell, so a dark kind of art direction makes sense. But
I was to say another good analogy would be like I haven't played this one yet, but I think from what I can tell, I mean, that's like from the jump from Skyward Sword to Twilight Princess. Like, isn't Twilight Princess much? It's got a very different like art style, and it's a little more darker in terms of the colors. At least from what I've seen from gameplay and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different kind of comparison there. Like, Zelda games are like so much their own entity typically when one comes out. I think them trying a different art style with each one doesn't really affect, I don't know, at least my feelings on like how it would translate over into like a future sequel or something. Like maybe sense. Because like I get what you're going for here. Diablo just feels a little different, only because I don't know. I want to carry that experience from 3 over.
It is also like one singular world, so canonically maybe it doesn't feel like Zelda has like timelines and different universes, so it could make sense that things look different.
Maybe. Well, so here's where I'm going with on the whole thing. One of the reasons I like 3 is not, I mean, one, I like the brighter aspect of it. It's so much easier to read on the screen. Like, I can tell where people are at a lot better. I know there's some accessibility things I could turn on the game to like highlight characters and whatnot, but just by default, like, I have a harder time noticing what's going on the screen with everything being so dark and muted and dim. Like, I missed the flashy powers flashing in certain places. It made it easier to tell where certain enemies were coming from because they were glowing blue and stuff like that. Not saying that we won't get any of that in this game, but it's a little harder to read. It definitely feels a little less exciting. Like, I don't get the same like dopamine kind of hits going off when all the crazy lights and everything are flashing. And maybe that's just my puny brain wanting to see more flashy lights. But I don't know. I don't dislike the art style. I can appreciate it. It can be a pretty game, but I'm leaning right now, at least early on, I kind of prefer 3. I don't know. I like 3.
I guess real quick, sorry, just to throw it in. I did want to just kind of throw this in that where's the article? I did see this, but Diablo is now, I think they said it's in 5 days, it's the all-time record for Activision Blizzard.
66 million.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
which I
Oh, no.
believe they said it beat out, I think, World of Warcraft or something like that. Some big game.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so dumb. What? My God, it looks like such a joke to me. Like,
Yeah,
why
that
did it
shows
that
that
way?
number. It's probably, way beyond
Oh,
that
it's
number
probably
or
way
something like
beyond that,
that.
and they just said, "Oh, that looks
So
funny."
dumb.
On a tagline, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
That doesn't surprise me. Like, I think this is where if you look at, like,
You can
critic
see
score
here.
versus user scores. I mean, obviously this is a solid game. Like, every review I've read about, even the little bit of time I have played with it, it feels like a very well put together game. Like, I don't doubt that it's a solid game that's going to sell well and a lot of people are going to enjoy it. But I don't know. I'm just not feeling it the same way I felt 3. Like 3, and I'm not even the biggest Diablo guy, but I got into 3 pretty heavily for a hot minute. I know me and Metal would play quite a bit. My wife, nonstop. My wife isn't even like real big into this one,
Really?
which is super surprising because this is like her game. She doesn't play mini games. It's like Animal Crossing or this. So the fact that she's not just like going all in on this one, like, I don't know. That's a telltale sign, at least for me. How do you guys feel about like the open world direction? Have you gotten to a point where that's made a big impact for you yet? I mean, I don't know if it really has for me yet, but
I think one of the weird things, I guess, in terms of like the open world, something they added in was this like the added verticality with like jumping and climbing, kind of. I don't feel like that adds darn near anything to the experience so far. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of seems more of like a
Like a chore.
not a chore, but just like
what's the point?
What's the point? Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel you on that one. I feel like pressing spacebar just to kind of like jump across. It's like, oh, that's cool, I guess.
Just makes my
But for what?
just makes my thumb work a little more, on the keyboard.
I feel like I've had to do a little more backtracking than I used to in like 3, or like I've had to go back and forth between hubs, back out, back to a hub city to, catch little side quests that I feel like in 3, like you kind of just picked them up along the way and did them as you went. Like the journey felt a little more cohesive, like because and to be fair, I mean I'm getting off of Breath of the Wild, not Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, so I might just be a little open worlded out after spending 100 hours on that. But I'm not really wanting to go explore all these expansive areas just to find a weird side quest and come back. Maybe that's just me right now, so I'm probably looking at it through the wrong lenses, but for me, at least at the early moments, the open world isn't quite working for me. I kind of miss the, not quite linearity of 3, but I don't know, the more straightforward approach. And I kind of miss the idea that these worlds aren't randomly generated. Like that was the big thing about 3, right? You could go, the map would load, and every run of a campaign you did was completely different.
Because every time I load into the map, it's already unshaded, and I can just teleport anywhere I want to go.
There is one Diablo 4 map. I mean, I think dungeons can be a little more procedural, but the map itself is the map, and that's true for everybody playing the game. And it takes a little bit of I don't know, kind of spontaneous, I'm going to go over here and see how the map is shifted kind of feeling that 3 gave you. So I don't know, I'm so early, I almost feel bad even giving a big opinion right now. I played for like sub 10 hours probably, so not enough I think for a game like this to have a strong opinion, but it's not hooking me like I was hoping it would.
Fair enough.
Maybe we can revisit this conversation when we get a little bit more deeper.
I
mean, with Zelda being like right there, it's like it doesn't help. It really does.
I was just gonna say the time frame of this game's release is very unfortunate.
Awful.
In between Zelda and Final Fantasy 16, it's just like that's gonna
like I am fatigued already playing Zelda, going to a big game like this. That's one reason I don't even want to get into this, because I'm trying to think, well, am I going to get into Final Fantasy when it comes out, or am I going to just wait to skip both of those? Like, there's some big games right now to really suck up your time, and I don't know, I only have so much I can invest. But luckily Zelda's wrapped up, so maybe I'll try.
Fair enough. Oh shoot, what else do we have to say? I'm just trying to think of anything else. What do you guys think about the Lilith character in general? Have you gotten to see much of her in the cutscenes and something? She's menacing.
She's interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting character. I mean, Diablo is just as gnarly. What I liked was as you go into a little bit more deeper, you get to kind of you get like the Kanai's cube quite early in the game. I hate to call it Kanai's cube. It's not called Kanai's cube, but they have the transmuting.
Right.
So you could use that, which is pretty neat. And seeing the character running around in the world, it's like, I don't know. This is I don't know. I kind of miss 3 in a way.
The one thing I do find kind of interesting about Lilith, at least from what I've seen from her, like all the villains in Diablo 3 and beyond always came across as we are super evil because they are prime
They're
evils.
demons.
Lilith, although
they're demons.
Yeah, they're demons. And although Lilith is clearly like she's still evil, like she's almost has more of a Thanos quality to her, where she's like trying to justify what she's doing a little more. She's a little more like doing it for the people, even though it's not really kind of thing. So it's an interesting take on her. I mean, maybe that will shift and change. She seems a little more nuanced than say Diablo did. Like Diablo was just Diablo. So I am curious, and I'm not far enough yet. How they're going to break it up as far as like mini like world bosses that you kind of build towards, like Skeleton King moving into what was
the Butcher? The Butcher's
demon.
always there.
No. Bao was that?
Not
Asmodan. Was it Baal?
Asmodan is one of them. Yeah.
Oh, you're not the big fan. I'm thinking. Never mind. Either way, like you have all those big kind of world bosses. I haven't gotten far enough to really see like the forms those are going to take on, but no, I'm sure they'll have something.
Now that I'm thinking about it real quick, there is one thing that's been very disappointing in my end, and it's the thankless rewards for going through the dungeons. They're super thankless. I'm just saying, like, you beat something and you get absolutely nothing from it. And at least in 3, you get like, a treasure chest, and it opens up, and it's like, yeah, loot. No, this one's like, you just beat this big grand mini boss thing for this area, and you probably died like 5 times, 6 times, and you don't get anything.
Really?
From you get absolutely nothing. You get absolutely nothing. I call it thankless dungeons. Like, because you're walking through, you're doing all this stuff, and I don't know, maybe I'm still too early, but I've gotten, I like to get rewarded for going through some of these areas, and if you're going into some dumb area that it doesn't have anything to do with the story, you just kind of walk in there and you fight this like massive junk boss, and you get your ass reamed, and then you're trying to like beat him. You finally beat him, and then it's like, great, congratulations, you've won, and then that's it. It's like, what is this nonsense? Yeah, sure, I got a couple of levels, don't get me wrong, but it's like I play for the looting. You go into these places and you loot. Now, the one thing that they did do is that they were very generous with globes. They're super generous with health globes, something that they were not generous about in 3. So, at least that. But I don't know. I like rewards.
Yeah, it seems like we're also kind of waiting on this game to have that hook, whether it be like a loot hook or like a story hook or something. Like, I don't know. At least for me, like, it hasn't had that moment where it's kind of like, yeah, I want to keep going to get this thing.
The hook is Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
That's when the hook...
The hook is beating Ganon.
Yeah. Not to be mean to Diablo, but...
As I feel bad because I have not played this game enough to... Maybe the hook is right around the corner, but it sounds like, at least from where you guys are at, you guys haven't even found, like, that drawing kind of force to pull you through.
To be fair, this is an online game, so it's like the lifespan of this game. People are going to be playing this forever, so I think you can probably play this anytime.
But that doesn't change the fact that, like, okay, yeah, you can play this game forever, but I need a reason to keep playing it forever. Like 3 was, at least initially, you want to level up and get certain loot, and then after a certain point it was, I want to do a certain challenge or be complete certain things in the compendium or whatever it was. Like, it gave you those things, and this game probably has a lot of that. Maybe I just haven't gotten to the point to open it up. This is a very dense game. I think it's part of it. Like, it has so many systems kind of already there that, like, I initially was a little overwhelmed with some of it. and the little bit I was grasping onto wasn't quite hooking me. So maybe that's just my issue, is I haven't quite dug into those extraneous systems and kind of, other achievements I can work towards, and the current skill-based stuff I'm working on just isn't quite catching my fancy. But we'll see. More time, I suppose, is the answer for most of us.
I think so.
I guess the last thing I wanted to kind of touch on is real quick. There was one funny side quest that I really enjoyed. It was really short, but there's this lady whose husband ran out of town to follow some other lady or something, and you just go on like a really short quest where you just go look for the husband, and when you find him, the lady, he's in chains and his like de-skinned, and he's like in like BDSM form. He's in like BDSM, and he's like more, and the lady ends up being a succubus. She ends up being a succubus, and she's like, I've given your husband pleasures of beyond imagination, and he wants more. And it's just like, it's just so weird, because the lady finds her husband, and he's just like, yes, yeah. It's great.
The thing about that is that you beat the succubus, right? You beat the succubus, and then you go back, and then the wife is like, and then he's like, I need some time to think.
Yeah, she's just like, I need
just
to
leave him.
Just leave my husband. I need to go.
Pull the sword out of him. Pull the sword out of him and call it a day. It's yours. That's your reward for that.
Jeez.
So, no.
That's probably the one thing so far in the game where I'm like, okay, that was funny.
To be fair, actually, I'm kind of glad you mentioned that. I feel like this game so far has lacked a lot of humor. Like to hear that there's a side quest like that has a bit of a humorous spin on it is kind of nice to hear, because
it shouldn't
the first
be
few
humorous.
hours are. Well, okay, but you know what I mean. Like, but there's like a dark humor, just stuff like that. I mean, maybe we're just reading that a little oddly, but 3 had a lot of humor to it. Like you had I'm not gonna remember his name, but the one companion you can get, like the roguey kind of haha kind of guy. What was his name? Well, either way, you had a bunch of those kind of characters and moments that you could get a chuckle out of. I haven't gotten many chuckles out of this game.
I just thought about it. That quest I just thought of that was pulled straight out of an Aqua Teen episode. What was the episode where Carl kept going after this lady, and she did the same thing? The ghost, and she did the same thing. She just I just thought about it. That's from an Aqua Teen episode.
That probably is.
Funny.
I don't know. I want to play it some more because I do enjoy Diablo anyway. But as I continue playing it, I'm sure my opinion will change. I hope to see more. That's a hope.
Well, we'll have a part 2 of this conversation. I've all had a little more time to dig our teeth into it some.
I probably not. I'm gonna try. Like I said, I'm gonna focus on Zelda. Probably until the next episode.
He's already bailing. He's like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah, he's like, no, I don't need it. And then we go Final Fantasy 16. Oh no. Oh man, that's gonna be another big game. Oh, did you see the amount of advertisement that game is getting? Oh my.
Well, they just put out that demo, and people are just raving about it right now. So I'll tell you, I really want to play it. I know I'm getting way off track here, but I'm gonna have to force myself to wait. Like if I want to get anything done in my life, I'm gonna have to push some of these games to the side, because these are big games to be releasing all at once. Like typically you get like a bunch of games come out. They're relatively short experiences. Like, play this one for 10 hours, 15, 20. Zelda 100 and X amount of hours. Diablo could be forever.
These are hundreds.
Final Fantasy is going to be at least 50, 60 hours, probably more than that. So
this
oh man,
this reminds me of like October. Like, have you seen October? It's like that whole
Spider-Man
week from the 20th, from the 10th to the 20th, you have like there's a new Assassin's Creed game. Alan Wake is like 3 days before Spider-Man, and then It's like, dude,
I'd rather have something like that though, because all those games are
different,
not
at least.
small, but well, it's not about different. Like, okay, so Spider-Man is going to be a 20 to 30 hour game, probably max.
Alan Wake's probably the
Alan
same.
Wake, I can't imagine 15 hours. Like, you could probably knock out a lot of those within a couple of weeks if you really wanted to. Like these 3 games, Zelda, Diablo, Final Fantasy,
100-hour
like,
experiences.
for most people, that's a year's worth of game. Probably more than that. So. Which is still awesome. In fact, we're seeing some really big quality games come out. We had been on a drought for a long time. Like the past year or so, it was really tough. I think waiting for a couple, like, at least for me, the games I really wanted to play, like seeing some cool stuff come out, finally that I'm interested in, is a good feeling. So, good time to be a gamer.